Everyone. Welcome back to English class. I hope that all of you had a good break and also believe that all of you had a recapitulation of what happened in the previous class. Okay, without any waste of time, let's get into today's video. Today's video is about your Unit 5 English lesson on tech bloomers. This is a lesson that talks about the use of technology by a normal person and also in empowering the disabled to do their day to day chores of life. How technology is useful for both normal people as well as some people with disability, because what happens is most of the time they are left alone in the society. They are not inclusive, they've been excluded out of the society. So this lesson is going to enlighten us about the technology and the uses of technology which has enabled the people who have been left out to become an inclusive in a society with par with the others. So let's move on. Have you ever thought about your own refrigerator or any equipments or appliance in their houses doing or carrying out their own works or ordering stuff on their own? I think this would be made possible in few years to come. Who thought that classes will be taught through online? If this is possible, I think in the near future we will be having all smart applications or appliances working on their own. But jokes apart, let's move on. Technology has not only made a normal person's life easier. For example, refrigerator with grinders. We have a lot of other stuffs like the computer and which helps us to make our life easy. So let's move on. But not only that, but it also is a boon to people with special needs. The future of technology is like almost everything will be automated machines are going to make our life even more comfortable. But most importantly, how this is going to help people with disability to link in the mainstream society. So even people with disability will feel inclusive and in par competitively equal to normal people. So technology impacts the environment, people and the society as a whole. The way we use technology determines if its impact are positive to the society or negative. So this is not only a gift for normal people, but also to people with special needs. In India alone, there are 2.7 crore people living with one or the other kind of disability. So according to the census taken in the year 2011, there are 2.21% of Indian population who are disabled. Unlike the developed world, India's disabled people are deprived by attitudinal barriers as they continue to grapple with the challenges to access, accept, and inclusion. So, I think we Indians, it is high time we look at the reality and include these people in everything. There is an attitudinal barrier. The barrier is in our mind. We think they will not be able to do anything, but that's not the case. We need to first of all accept them and give them the access and then include them. In doing so, they will also be able to prove that they are in equal or they are in par with the other normal people. How is technology empowering the disabled people? We will be looking at the technological support that these people are getting. First, the first person in the text is Alicia, who's suffering from cerebral palsy. She wanted to be different in spite of her disability. She couldn't type as fast as she thinks, so she uses a Dragon Dictate, which has enabled her to do so. Kim, her assistive technologist, is a person who introduced it to her. So she feels that now she's able to type because she speaks and the words appear on her screen, and then even she can take a printout of it. Studying was very difficult earlier for her because she had to rely on someone or the other to help her in assisting or typing on everything on the computer. But after Kim introduced her to the Dragon Dictate, it is very easy. All that she had to do earlier was to train the Dragon Dictate to understand her voice, and now she is excelling in it. So I've put a picture of the Dragon Dictate. She uses it in her class and at her home. It has made her more independent and study on her own. So now she need not depend on someone to manually help her. She also started to take her Max GCSE test. So what happens is earlier there's one teacher who passed away, but she had a teacher who was insisting on her to take the General Certificate of Secondary Education test in Max. So this was before the Dragon Dictate was introduced to her. And her reply was, "That would be totally silly." I will quote from her words. I said, "No, I'm not. Don't be silly. I didn't think I could do anything like that. Studying was so difficult because I had to rely on someone to type everything into a computer for me. So this was a barrier for her. But Dragon Dictate has surpassed this, and you know what? She's also taken the test, and she feels that now her teacher, who's no more, would be proud of her. There are many different types of technology that can help a young disabled person become independent. So if someone has been very limited movement in the sense they're not they are if they have they can't move below their neck, no, very limited movement, so they can come control a computer screen through their gazing of their eye, so through eye gaze. So when they read, they cannot move or turn. They have to either press the screen, right, to turn the page. But this is done using the pupils of their eyes. They need not press a button or anything. So that's the advantage of the eye gaze. So that means that whenever they are reading, they can move from page to page using the pupils of their eyes. They don't need to press a button or anything. About Kim, she's not only taught just one person, but she works with 42 students at her school, and she helps them to use technology in different ways. And Alicia says that she's amazing. I don't know what we do without her. So that's what Alicia quotes about Kim. So she is the one who helps Alicia by using introducing Dragon Dictate and Eye Gaze. Now there's another person, 21-year-old David. Let's see how technology has helped him. So, technology is very important to David because it enables him to communicate and be independent, and it gives him the freedom and liberty. So, if he has to communicate, let's see what technology he has to use. For verbal communication, David uses a device called Liberator Communication Device, which he controls with his eye movements. So, using just the movement of his eyes, he can just control a device. Can you just believe how extraordinary it is and how liberating it is of giving them the sense of freedom and independent feeling of using the things on their own. Not only that, it is also a Bluetooth adapter, so it lets him to use any PC or Mac computer by sending commands through the liberator. So he controls and he commands through the liberator, and that liberator, which is connected through a Bluetooth adapter, can operate any PC or Mac. So David says it was a great feeling when he learned to use it, because it took a couple of weeks. I know it is strain, it is difficult, it is a challenge, but still the challenge was to learn to communicate with people, which before was difficult, but now training himself to use it was not as difficult as before communicating with the people. So this is that liberator communication device. Moving on. He also has active controller at his headrest of his chair in his bedroom, which means he can control his TV, Blu-ray and music players. So that is something which is the headrest. If you can see behind that person, there's a green button, okay? So David is suffering from atheoid cerebral palsy and attends a specialist school and college. He uses high technology aid, which is an help, right from the age of 8. And he is keenly interested in AAC, which expands augmentative and alternative communication, which enables him to speak, and that is his favorite device. David also uses ECO2 with ECO point. So this is basically like AAC, which runs using the axis on the headrest. Sometimes it's a based system, which took a lot of navigation and requires a lot of combination with switches. So ECO2 and ECO point makes selections with foot switch, which is easy for them. Once he has fixed his gaze on the icon that is required. He has a smaller communication aid. It has been mounted on his walker, so it is very essential that much of his spare time is spent performing arts. He can control both with his eyes and with his foot. David has 144 icons on his screen, and he uses the ECO point eye gaze. He uses it to access curriculum, study for his GCSE test, order food, and communicate while he's in a restaurant, and even argue with his brother. See, these are the things that you and I do very easily, right? We don't even think about it. Now, this is a task for David. It's very difficult for him to perform it before he was introduced to ECO2 and ECO point. So it was very difficult for him, but now he is also able to communicate with other people. David uses ECO2 to speak in complete sentences with correct syntax. So earlier when he speaks, he will not be understandable, but this helps him to speak in complete sentences with correct syntax. It has also increased the number of words that he's been uses, meaningful words, and he can comment socially and uses the language of his peer group, his friends. A kind of acceptance comes only then, right? We don't accept others who are different. But I think this lesson throws light that we need to accept people who are different, give them a chance. So now he has become more confident and competent communicator. He's able to communicate with the help of ECO to speak. David has also become an advocate to other students. Advocate in the sense he has started to represent or stand up for other people who use AAC and shows them how easy it is to communicate using this AC method. Not only that, David has also worked on idioms with his SLT. His latest being, he started to use a lot of idioms. So his latest idiom was, Mom has got a lot on her plate. That means she is a very busy person or she's got a lot of things to handle. He controls his PlayStation with bespoke switch system and drives his electrical wheelchair with head switches and uses the ECO point eye gaze system to communicate. Not only that, to access the computer to check on how Chelsea football team is doing and send and receive text messages. So he uses AAC and AC method to do all these things. David has had been recently in the sense, quite long back, had been selected to travel to Brazil to work with the Olympic opening ceremony team as a part of Remix Drama Group. So this is how he has taken up his challenges, faced his challenge, and overcome. He is able to overcome his situation using technology as an aid. Okay, children, the lesson is not over. We will continue this lesson in the next video.